What's up, YouTube? We're back with another video, baby. All right, before we get into it, Coors Light, official sponsor. No Busch Latte today. We got Miller. Miller? I've known a couple Millers. Let's see what it sounds like. Smells good. Cheers. Ooh. Not bad. Miller Lite. A fine Pilsner beer. Not bad. Not bad at all, if I do say so myself. Quality, uncompromising, and unchanging. Frederick Miller, 1855. It's a little bit older than me. Y'all are still doing a good job. All right. I just got off work. Tomorrow I am off. I'm going to go see some family in a place a couple hours away. Where I work, I do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You know, I've told you guys before, kind of what I do. But I work around a bunch of Asians, and so well, they're Indonesian really. And we're gonna go like 12 deep and go shopping and eat. It's gonna be fun. So I'm looking forward to that. And where I live on Sundays, it's dry county. So I had to get some beer from work instead of hitting up my local gas station. I'm a regular there, as you guys already know, everyday occurrence type of a thing. But that's the reason we got no Busch Latte tonight. Unfortunately, it hurts me not to put money into these big corporate people's pockets, because Busch does an amazing job, but Miller Lite does just fine. Now, if I get sick off of this Miller Lite, I'll make a video about it, just like I did that Blue Moon. Yo, fuck Blue Moon, bro. I don't know what the fuck you got to be on to drink that shit and actually think it like tastes good as a beer. But I've always drank light alcohol. I used to drink hard alcohol as well, but light beer and like stouts, I've never been into that, or IPAs, never been into that type of thing, or Guinness. If you guys drink beer, you know the difference. But if maybe you're not a beer connoisseur, which I'm definitely not, this is low quality stuff. Still good though. Another cheers real quick. If you've been around beer or any alcohol, you know how different they can be. Whiskeys and bourbons and vodkas and gins. They may be clear, they may be dark, but the taste profile is just radically different. And so with beer, the IPAs and the, you know, full stout beers, you know, here's my thing. They just have, I guess, a depth to flavor that I can't appreciate. I may drink a stout one day with some blue cheese and like salami or something. That sounds like an old man type of fucking afternoon. But I don't need to be tasting like rubber or tree bark or oak smoke in my beer. I really just like the easy drinkability of a light. So that's a little rant about that. Oh, I wanted to talk about law enforcement. That's what this video is going to be titled, Law Enforcement. A little note to myself in the editorial process. In my area where I live, dude, our police they don't fuck around. And honestly, you know, that's probably just what you guys all have, that type of like, just like, that's kind of just how it is here in America. If you get onto the radar, they will fucking keep hitting you. At least in my area, that's how it is. But so here's the thing about law enforcement to me, man. I think that we don't pay them enough, and places like LA and New York and Chicago, it's so dangerous that you don't get everyday like hardworking people that would be construction workers that are clean, that can get the job, that get the want to go in. There's not a very big like salary desire. They pretty much get paid just like a hardworking blue collar worker, which I don't think is really right. They should get like higher pay, just baseline cops. Because at the end of the day, when you go to a construction site, you're not going to lose your life. You might. I mean, it might happen. You know, an electrician might get electrocuted, or a plumber might get stuck in a toilet. I'm not sure. But, you know, people die. That's just the reality of it. But police officers, man, I feel terrible for them. I respect them, and this isn't me gonna brown nose, but I will just a little bit because I really do respect what they do, and it's a very difficult job. I mean, you as a police officer, every day you go into work, and when you get called out, that's the worst. Sometimes it's the worst day those people have ever had, and you do that over and over and over, and you get desensitized to horrible things, suicides, murders, and so just for them not to get paid more is honestly crazy. You basically would have to call it a passion project for some of these people, or maybe they're, some people maybe go into law enforcement with hopes of going up in the ranks, going to FBI or drug task force and that type, or undercovers, and that's understandable. But still, the base pay for cops should be higher, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, that would give a lot more people that don't necessarily want to deal with these tragedies that police forces have to deal with. The extra money would give them like an actual want to get into the career path. I don't really like the whole thing with defund the police, and because if you defund the police, who's gonna keep Walmart from getting robbed? And if Walmart gets robbed because you don't have a police force, where are you going to get toilet paper? I mean, unless everybody in the area, these massive towns like LA or New York, millions of people in the population, if they're all for defund the police, does that mean that all of them are criminals? Like, I'm really confused with how exactly the dynamic works. I mean, obviously, and this is an obvious statement, defunding the police gives way more like rampant drug outbursts in these like homeless populations because there's no police to force the laws. Fucking duh. So, defunding the police is just like saying, all right, LA has a little bit too many Asians. Defund the police, and maybe the drugs will run them out. Or white people, or Jews, or blacks, any ethnicity, it doesn't matter. But anyone that holds like a job, I'm not saying you have to be drug free, you do whatever you want, but if you just mind your own business and you're not trying to harm other people or steal or do anything bad, you just smoke some weed or take some pills, fucking do some coke, whatever, even if you're selling it a little bit and you're not like a fucking millionaire, dude, you might get an extra $1,000 a month or something, good on you, good on you, bro. You deserve those nice shoes, or your lady deserves a dress. I got nothing wrong with that, personally or morally, as long as you're not spiking people's shit and like causing overdoses or something else in that nature. So I just don't understand, like, how can these communities actually say we back defunding the police whenever, if you have 1 million people in your town and you defund the police, they're never going to get a call to your like residential burglary calls. So if someone comes into your house that's homeless and they need to fucking get some money for their drugs, they're just going to walk up in your shit, call the cops. But, you can't, because they're not going to show up in time because you defunded them, you dumb fucks. So then, I'll shoot them. Okay. What if the fucking homeless people come in with a gun? What if you can't get to your gun in time, and then your wife and kids are in there with this madman that's trying to rob you and take everything from you, and he's armed, and you weren't able to get there in time? These are worst case scenarios, but they're reality. It's what happens to people, unfortunately. You shouldn't defund the police. We should also have something in this country for police, and I know that there are, but they're usually independent, like, sources. They're like individuals or small companies that are usually from the blue, usually retired officers that end up almost like an Army VA type of thing, where they give them assistance either monetarily or with recovery issues or with suicidal programs. Because this is crazy. But I was looking up the subject, and police officers have the highest number of suicides post-retirement, which is crazy. Because these people, their whole lives, you know, if they're in it for 30 years, who knows how many tragedies these people have seen. And it really hits home for me because my grandma drove a EMS ambulance. And I remember back in the day, man, I used to stay at her house with her. She was super cool. And she would do 48-hour shifts. And just 2 days on, might take 2 days off. And she was never like, I would say, like, I was young at the time, so she never had like a blank stare, like the 1,000-yard stare where she had saw something. But you can imagine driving an ambulance what you're gonna see. So that's trauma. And police walk into these before, you know, anyone else usually. They're the first ones on the crime scene, is essentially what I'm trying to say. And, you know, that takes a mental toll on you, no matter how strong you are mentally or physically. And that's probably why after recovery, or not recovery, after retirement, police, you know, have such a high rate of suicide. It's fucked. So, yeah, that's my feeling on law enforcement. There could be bad cops, by the way. There's bad people everywhere. Well, if you made it to the end of the video, like, comment, subscribe, drop what you're drinking down in the comments, y'all. Coors Light, the official sponsor of the working man. I had to put Busch Light to the side tonight, but Miller is just fine. We got Coors, Busch, and Miller, baby. Put that on the t-shirt. Cheers.